New episode.
Let's go. Good
What's
evening, everybody.
what's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? Insightful gang. We back in the building one more time.
Yes, 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 yes.
We hope everyone is doing well while you're watching this episode. Um, for all of our new listeners or viewers that we may have coming on, we always like to introduce ourselves. So I am Shnequia, aka S.
And I am Lakeisha, aka L.
And together we are Insightful Conversations with SNL.
SNL.
Yes, please make sure that y'all hit the notification bell so that way you'll know whenever we drop an episode. And also go ahead and like this episode and do all of that good stuff. Before we get started, we always like to check in with each other. So, Lakeisha, how have you been?
I've been a-okay. I cannot complain. Um, for our audience members who do not know, we actually, Shaniquia and I, as well as two other of our girlfriends from Thomasville, Lashandra and Tasha, we actually just came back a week or so from Las Vegas, Nevada,
Yes.
to go see none other than the entertainer himself, Usher.
Yes,
Usher.
Usher
Usher
Raymond,
Raymond. Usher
Usher,
Raymond.
Usher, you know. And let me tell you, he was amazing,
Phenomenal.
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 Like he gives on a great show. So if y'all have never seen him perform live, please check him out at his residency. Because matter of fact, he's gonna be performing from now until October, I think the end of October.
Yeah.
And then he added new dates for his show next year, starting in March until I think the end of July. So if y'all are able to do it, go check him out. It's a
Trust
great
me,
show.
it is a show that is worth every cent, every coin. When I tell you this man dances, he performs, his set design is amazing. There's no lip syncing whatsoever. And his body, woof, it's
Oh
beautiful.
goodness. Oh good. Oh good gracious. Yes, yes. God took his time on that one. And the funny thing about it is like, and I think I was telling you all this, like I never really was like, I mean, I've always been an Usher fan, but in terms of like his looks physically, I was like, he never really did it for me. But for some reason, at that concert, he was giving me everything.
I
Looks,
think it's
face.
the grown and sexy
Maybe
vibe.
that's what it
Yeah.
is. Maybe that's what it is. Because I was just like, okay, Ursula, like,
Yeah.
come on. But yeah, he did a great job. Great job.
Yes.
And we had fun in Vegas too. Vegas was really
We
good.
did. We did.
Really good. So it's cool. It's cool.
So how about yourself, cuz? What's been going on in your neck of the woods?
I've been doing pretty good. Just working. Work's been really busy. Just kind of laying low a little bit. But other than that, been good. Really no complaints. So
Amen to
that's
that.
good. That's good. He's definitely good. All right. So, well, we have a very special episode today because not only are you blessed with me and Lakeisha on your screens, we also have a guest that's going to be coming on. She's actually going to be a part of our Buzzworthy Topics segment as well
Yes.
as the remainder of the episode. But she is someone who is actually a friend to the show. She's been a guest on our first season, so our
She
inaugural
has.
season. She was on, and I was always trying to think about when would be a good time to bring her back onto the episode or onto the show, and I felt like this particular episode was good to do that. And so I hope that you all enjoy her as this guest for this evening. And so we will bring her out shortly because apparently she's having some technological issues. But that's okay. That's okay.
She coming back. She
She
coming back.
coming
She
back.
coming
She
back.
coming back. She coming back. So she may not be a part of the Buzzworthy Topic segment, but we can go ahead and get started. Um, we always like to start off with our Buzzworthy Topic segment. So, Keisha, what's been buzzworthy in your week?
Um, as you all know, of course, there, things change, things happen rapidly. So, as far as what's trending, it changes constantly, given the day, given the minute, given the second. And so one of the trending topics that I've really been um diving into is this whole water crisis situation in Jackson, Mississippi. So, for those of you all that have not heard, about a week or so ago, Jackson, Mississippi was hit with some heavy storms, as much as the southern United States was at that time. However, their water system could not hold back that type of pressure that the storm, the rain was putting on their system, and as a result, it ended up um, flooding the system, which caused it to flood out into the cities and things of that nature. And as a result, the water is now contaminated. I know when the situation first broke, they were saying that they were telling the residents, not only could they not even like use the water, but they couldn't even drink it. And so I just think about just the many ways that we utilize water throughout the day, whether you're watering your plants, you're using water to take a bath and or a shower. We're using water, in order to cook with, um, to wash cars. It's just so many things a lot of times we take for granted when it comes to how we use water. And so my heart goes out to um, those citizens of Jackson, Mississippi, especially given the fact that 82% of their population is Black. And so this is not the first time that a situation like this has taken place in the United States, especially when it comes to people from lower socioeconomic backgrounds, and just the different trials they have to put up with on a daily basis, on top of now not having a good source of water to use in their day-to-day lives, and things like that. So there's a lot of course, community service efforts that are taking place, not only in the city, but of course they're calling for people across their state, across the United States, the world, to step in and help, if they can, whether that's donating, bottles of water, or even non-water materials such as toiletry and hygiene products and things of that nature. So I'm going to keep my eye on this story. I hope that things get better with time, but I don't know. For me, it's just sometimes frustrating just hearing about stories like this. And a lot of times, like I said, when you have a story that revolves around, like a levee bursting and things of that nature, like I said, most of the time the communities that are going to be affected are people who are Black and brown. And a lot of times these situations tend to kind of be swept underneath the rug. And they're people just like us. They have families like, just like us. Their kids go to schools and they're out in the communities and things of that nature. So just like we tend to put a lot of emphasis on other things, to me, that same type of importance should also be placed on, people's lives, and how situations like this impact their daily, daily, routine. What about yourself,
Right.
cuz?
No, I totally agree with you because as I heard about that story, it made me think about the water crisis that was in Flint, Michigan.
Yep.
And speaking of Flint, Michigan, and I'm not trying to take away the crisis in Mississippi, but did they ever get fresh water in Flint?
That I do not know.
Because because I know I haven't been hearing about it anymore,
Yeah,
but yeah, because I remember that was an issue, and you're right, it does tend to affect our community the
yeah,
most. So my prayers and just my thoughts are just with them, and I'm just because that's something that they can't help. So
they
I'm just
can't.
hoping
And
that.
then
Go ahead, go ahead.
And then once again, like I said, we don't necessarily know when we could be in a situation,
Right,
or be affected like this. So, like I said, if you have the opportunity to donate, whether that's, donating money, or you can physically, ship out bottles of water, or, like I said, non-water products in order to help, these individuals, by all means do so.
cool, cool. Okay, I think that we might have Karie back. Because I do see her waiting in the
Hmm.
studio. So it's okay. I'm gonna go ahead and let her in. But the person that I was talking about is friend of the show, one of my best friends, Karie.
Hey guys, I'm sorry I had a
Hello.
technical issue.
That's okay.
It's
Like as
okay.
soon as
It's
I heard you
okay.
calling my name, I'm so sorry.
No, it is quite all right. It's quite all right. So, we were just talking about we're in the buzzworthy topic segment, but Keisha was talking about the water crisis in Mississippi. Did you have any thoughts about that?
No, I heard what you said about Flint, and I don't think that they got that together. I don't think they got that straightened out yet. I think they're
Okay,
still having an issue with that. I think it's just how America kind of is. It just died down.
right.
I guess the excitement of it at the beginning, it kind of died down. So yeah, no,
Yeah.
they
Okay.
just they just don't talk about it anymore. But I think they still have the same issue.
Yeah. Okay. But like we said, our prayers, our thoughts. If you have any way that you can help support them, like Keisha said, sending water bottles or donating money, whatever, anything can help. So
Anything.
we are praying, and our thoughts are with them, the ones affected by this. So, in terms of me, actually, the thing that I'm going to talk about is something that happened just today, which is Queen Elizabeth II. She passed away this morning. I believe it was morning or afternoon, whatever time it is in London, in the UK. She was 96 years old, and
Yes.
she basically served as queen for 70 years, which I think has been, don't quote me on this, but I think like the longest in history or something like that over there. If it's not, it should be in history. But
I know
no,
that's
no,
right.
no, I'm not saying. I'm just saying for real. But yeah,
That's a long time. Yeah, that's
that is so. And so now they have a new person in power, in charge. Is her son, who was Prince Charles, but he's now King Charles. So
The third.
the third, King
Yeah.
Charles III. Okay. Well, thank you, because I want to miss her name. But yeah, so our thoughts and our prayers are definitely going out to the family, the royal
Yeah.
family, and anybody else that's been affected all over the world by this loss. Because it is a loss, but at the same time, she lived a long
She
life.
did.
She was
She
90,
did.
so yeah.
She did. And I know I was reading Shaniquia, the Britain right now is in an upheaval. There's a lot of unrest in that country. So of course, with the Queen's death, it's making a lot of people uneasy, because of course, you don't know what's gonna happen, moving forward, and how it's gonna impact, their country, and things like that. So once again, we'll be keeping an eye out on this story and sees how everything plays out, even with her son now stepping in that position of power. And I was also reading that this is since they've not had a king since 1952.
Oh
So
wow.
this is major. This is big for them.
Oh
Yeah.
wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I knew it had to be a long time because, like I said, she was in
Long
power
time.
70 years.
she was a
Yeah.
century old. Yeah, yes, that's a long
Yeah.
Yeah,
time.
she was almost
Yeah.
there. She was almost there,
Almost there.
and I was thinking about how her husband had passed away last year.
Yeah.
So, and he was like, I think 99, so he almost had made it to 100. So, but yeah, so definitely rest in peace, Queen Elizabeth the second. Um, yeah. Karie, did you have anything? If
Not
not, that's
really. I just when somebody lives to be 96, all you can do is celebrate that they made it that far, and
You
because
right,
that's like
Carrie.
a
You
lifetime.
right.
It's
right.
like, regardless of your feelings about, what, how, or who she was, and what, she might have contributed to the world. That's a long life. That's
Yes,
that's
yes,
that's
yes,
all I
Lord.
got.
And that's good. That's good. All right. Well, if
Yeah.
there's nothing else buzzworthy, we can go ahead and end this segment and get right into our episode. So, y'all, I know it's been a few weeks. Might have been a month now. I can't remember, but it's been a few weeks. I know that for sure. Where we had our last episode and we talked about love languages. So we're still gonna be talking about love languages in this episode, but um, we're bringing in a different perspective. So that's why Karie is here, and we're just gonna have just a good conversation about the topic and kind of pick her brain a little bit on this topic. So we're simply just calling this episode "Love Languages Part 2."
Straight to the point.
Right, straight to the point. So, how do we want to get started, ladies? How do we want to dive into this discussion?
I don't know. Did you want to do a recap of what you talked about the last time and just kind of
Well, yeah, we can.
piggyback on that?
Okay, we can.
Just a good overview of what the love languages are.
Okay, we can. So, for those who didn't watch or didn't listen, we talked about the topic of love languages. And for those that don't know about it, it's basically, I think his name was Gary Chapman or something like that. The guy, he had wrote a book about it, and I think it came out in the 90s or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
the concept of this. And so the concept of love languages is five different topics or areas where it's and I don't think they're in any particular order, but it's words of affirmation, physical touch, receiving gifts, acts of service, and quality time. Okay. And so, what we did in the last episode is we talked about each of the five different love languages. And then we also talked about our own personal love languages that we identify with. So,
And we also, Shaniqua, gave examples
yeah,
of ways in which an individual could express that particular love language, to another person and things like that.
okay. So, if you haven't watched or listened, go check it out. It was a really good episode. So, with that being said, I guess we can go ahead and get started. Because I have a question for you, Karie, just right off the bat. In terms of the topic of love languages, how do you feel about the topic itself?
Well, I guess I, I do agree that it's an important thing to discuss. I guess I guess however you and your partner or your spouse or whatnot, how you converse. Because some people have conversations and they really don't communicate effectively. I think that's the most important part is effective communication, because I personally, in my relationship, we haven't like discussed actual love languages per se, like just just going through each one individually and saying which one we identify with. We never really had that conversation, but it was more so just kind of understanding and just throughout our relationship communication of what you better not do, what kind of like over the course of years. It's like along that, like it's kind of like okay, we decided to just have adult conversations, and I guess over time you kind of we just kind of got used to each other. So it
Okay.
wasn't really a big conversation about it. It's just kind of with us, it was more so paying attention to the other person, and then you just realizing what works and what doesn't work, what they react to and what they don't react to. So for us, it was more so along the lines of, you know, I know he likes to eat, So if I want to get to his little bitty heart, I could cook. So that's like our little thing. So it's like if I really like how some people like if I want, I guess you could say to ask for like I don't want to make it sound like I just ask for stuff, but like if you try to butter somebody up, you're gonna find what they like. So it's like if I want some extra quality time or whatever the case, it's like I will cook a more in-depth meal. Let's say that we having courses because I'm trying to keep him full and happy and at the house, as versus like and probably sleep somewhere versus him playing the video game. And I want attention and time. So that's just what we adopted to over the times over the course of time. So
Okay, so it's not like, so it sounds like what I'm hearing you say, it's not like you all actually identified what it is. It's like you kind of be like, okay, well, I want this. I know that I want this internally, and I want you to provide this need for me. So I'm going to do what I feel like I can do that's going to make sure that what I'm needing is going to be accomplished. This sounds like what I'm hearing you say.
exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. That's how we work it over the course. But I know
Okay.
that like in a lot of our relationship is like we communicate a lot. We talk a lot because he's a truck driver. He's on the road. At one point, he was on the road for 2 weeks at a time. So he was only home every other weekend. So as you can imagine, we talked on the phone a lot. And so with that being said, we had a more opportunity than some people do. So we had an opportunity to talk about like way more stuff and a lot more in depth because it's like we just had a lot of time to talk. So, but I guess for the average thing, it's just like I said, I made sure I told him my out front my do's and don'ts as far as like what I don't really care for as far as whatnot. But I think that's the issue in some relationships. Is like people they communicate, but they don't communicate effectively. Like you can
Mhm.
do what you want somebody, what you think somebody wants you to do. Like some men think that buying women flowers or
Yeah.
jewelry or whatnot is the way to their heart. Like really, all they want you to do is clean up, like pick up your socks off the floor, or wash a load of clothes. It's like it's just certain stuff, like take some load off of there. Like it's just certain stuff. But I think a lot of people don't know how to communicate that effectively, as far as like for their mate to understand what they're trying to say. Especially a lot of times, well, it goes both ways. I wouldn't say one or the other is worse or not. It's just I think that women have an issue with just thinking that men can read their minds or like they can read our
Yeah.
mind, like, just know like what we want. Like, okay, I've been fussing about something for so long, so you should automatically just know it's gonna bother me, so don't do it. And it's like as far as like rather than just telling them don't do it,
Right.
it's like just it's just that type of like I said. But that's what I've seen in a lot of relationships. It's just I guess the way that they effectively communicate their love languages
And
because
Carrie,
somebody.
to me, oh,
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
What you hit on something so important when you were talking about communication. Um, some of the things that I got out of what you said. Um, Number one, you were saying a lot of times we try to love people in a manner in which we're trying to love people. We're thinking like, hey, the way that I want to be loved, that's how this next person, whether it's a spouse or coworker, family member, so on and so forth. And like you stated, that may not necessarily be the case. What touches
Mhm,
you and what's going to warm your heart may not be the same thing that's going to warm or get Shaniqua, going, or either myself, because as you stated, we're all
mhm,
different people.
Yeah.
But if we don't learn to speak up and advocate for ourselves, then what do what can you expect? Like you said, we're not mind readers. Nobody's
That,
mind readers.
yeah.
And sometimes,
And
even
mhm,
though
we
you have
shouldn't have
told
to be mind
people,
readers. And
you're
we're not
right.
supposed to be mind readers.
You're
Yeah.
right. And sometimes, although you may have voiced your concerns, or even it's just not a concern, you may just be making a statement. Like you said, if you know your partner well enough, sometimes we are going to have that conversation. We'll have to come back to it again. You may have to approach it from a different angle. So you can't
mhm,
always think just because we've had this conversation, one, it is a one and done. Like, no. Once again, like you stated, that
mhm,
comes from knowing your partner. So picking up not only on those verbals, but the nonverbal cues that you were talking
Yeah.
about
mhm,
as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. Which is so
mhm.
important. Yeah.
Yeah.
because I think people just think that communication a lot of times is just verbal. And I'm like, no, 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 no. What you don't say,
Yeah.
speaks volumes too. Because to me, that's a form of
Yeah.
communication
It
as well.
is. It
Yeah, because
So,
is.
body language is language too. So it's like, like
uh-huh.
if somebody rolls their eyes at you, you already know what, it's like, what was that about? Regardless of how they meant it, it's how you take it. Like
Right.
it's how you take it, it's how you feel about it. So that's a lot of times like what you said is just kind of, I guess it also depends on how well you know the person that you're with, because like I said, I've been with him for what 8 years now. So and like I said, a lot of communication throughout those years, him being a truck driver, and like I said, over the, I would say maybe the last 6 or so years, he's been home every weekend for the most part, like off and on, but every weekend. So like I said, we still get a whole lot of communication in. But one of the things that I learned from, like I said, past, like from my mom and dad, from just watching other people's relationship, whether it's like, TV shows, whatever, like Divorce Court, all type of the different, like different shows or whatnot, where you can just pick up what other people are doing and just like, oh no, I see what they're doing, I'm not gonna do that. So, it's one of those things. I know another thing that, resonates with him is that the world is chaos. So when you come home, you want peace. So it's one of those things
Mm.
I picked up on, is that like, okay, I don't want a chaotic household. So it's like, I might not have the spick and span. It might not be like spotless when he gets home or whatnot. Like he might not have a plate waiting on him when he gets home, but we have an understanding of where, we communicate and say, if I don't want to cook or I just don't feel like it, it's not an issue. It's just, I'll just tell him and he'll be like, okay, well, what you want to order? Like, what you in the mood for? Or if it's getting a little late, he'll be like, okay, so what we eating? And so it's like, the conversation comes up. Cause it's like, the one thing that we had, like, I guess it's kind of like just an understanding we have is, if we don't do nothing else, we gonna eat. Like, we gonna, we don't do nothing else, we gonna figure that out. But it's like, it's just certain stuff where it's like, if it's not a big deal, it's not a deal. That's why until, because when you said that, when I watched the podcast from the first part one, I didn't realize that it had been around that long either. Like, I
Yeah,
didn't
we did.
Yeah.
know.
We didn't either. Because when we did
Mhm,
when we were doing our research, it was like the 90s. I was
Yeah.
like, really?
mhm.
I was
Yeah,
thinking
because I
within
thought
the
like I
last
thought it
five
was like
years.
a lot of this. Because I
Yeah.
thought it was like a lot of the new stuff is how, they start putting like labels and names and stuff. Because like in the last maybe what 10 or 15 years, they started labeling stuff, like, you hear a lot of these clinical terms like narcissist and all these type of words that's getting thrown around. So when I heard love
Mhm.
languages, I was like, oh Lord, they done came up with something for people to, because like when I first started hearing about it, it was like people were specifically like, my love language is this and my love language is that, and I was like,
Mhm.
okay, so what if you don't identify with more than one? Is it something wrong? Like, if you, what if you,
Mm.
Right. Right.
it's just
And
like, cause
yeah.
it's like it's all, they all interconnected some kind of way. Cause it's like, I don't know any woman that would say, oh no, don't buy me anything. But it's like, but I would rather spend time with you than, you buy me $1,000 worth of stuff. I'd rather go on a trip with you or something, like, take that money and do something else. Like, let's invest, let's do something different with it. It just depends on where your mindset is. But I don't know any woman that'll say, just don't do this, but do this. Like, like, don't buy me anything. Just sit here
Mhm.
and watch movies with me. It's like, no, you can buy me something, but I would rather you watch movies with me. But if you buy me something, I'm going to accept it. I'm not,
Okay. I mean,
I'm not
who wouldn't?
gonna
Yeah.
do it.
Or
Right.
Carrie, back to your
That's
point, if you're going
mhm.
to go out of your way to purchase or get me something, make it meaningful. So if I've had a
Yeah.
conversation, like you said, instead of, if you know for a fact I'm not a flowers type of chick, then don't
Hmm.
waste your money on flowers. But maybe I've been sitting up here talking
Exactly.
about, this a certain type of purse or a certain type of perfume that I've been wanting for the longest, or I've been wanting you to take me to go see, a concert or a show
Right.
that has more meaning, and then you're going to get
Hmm.
more of a better response versus, like you said, you buying something and just thinking that I'm supposed to just go
Right.
and it's just like, but
Hmm.
that I'm grateful for it, but
Yeah.
that's not necessarily me.
Yeah, because
That's not what
it
touches
can come
me.
across as exactly, it can come across as ungrateful because
Yeah,
it's not what
Exactly.
you necessarily want, and it's like, it's not being that. It's just like, it just not what, it doesn't do anything for me. But it's like, I think,
exactly.
but
Yeah.
like, that's
Yeah.
not. I could have watched Netflix. We could have watched a Netflix movie and had the
Right.
same.
Right.
I could have had a better feeling. But
Yeah.
I say at the same time, I think a lot of people get it confused because, like I said, all intermingles to me with each other. Because if you do buy somebody something and it makes them happy or whatnot, then it's like, okay, then that could snowball into, physical touch, which could turn into, it's like it's just everything can like kind of, I guess you could say it can
Snowball
like
effect.
layer on
Yeah.
top of each other.
Mhm.
So it's like I don't think it's because that's my original thought of when I first started hearing people like really talk about it a lot. I was just like, oh Lord, they finna start categorizing, and then people gonna more confusion to the dating scene and all this because like it's already enough confusion out here anyways, like with people dating and like I said, lack of communication and over communicating and just
Yeah.
everything. Because
Yeah.
I was
And
like the dating world, just from my observation, it has so much pee in it. It's not funny. It's
oh,
so
you're not lying. You're not lying. I can
oh, it's
speak
so
on that.
polluted.
Let me
Oh
let
my
me just
god.
say, I can speak on that. Yes, as a single woman, yes.
Ooh, girl, when I tell
He
you, I said, I
possessed,
told him, I said, whatever it is, we gonna fix it. I can't go back out there in the street. Mm-mm.
right.
It's
Yeah,
it's wild.
it's
Ooh.
definitely hard out here. It's hard
It's
out
rough
here.
for me, and I ain't even in it. I just watching
Yeah.
it. Just like I feel my heart is out to
Yeah.
y'all.
Yeah.
Goodness.
I'm
It,
living my best
Ooh.
life right now. When it comes, when it happens, it happens.
Girl, I see that. I understand that because you just gotta let God go, let God handle this one because
yeah,
these
let
folks
go
right
and
here,
let
Let
God.
God, literally,
yeah,
Yeah, like
literally,
you have to,
for
cause
real.
child,
literally.
cause what we got out here.
So I wanted to ask the both of you all, a couple of days after Shaniqua and I filmed episode number one on love languages, a video on TikTok came across my feed, and it was this young lady that was actually talking about a sixth love language. And so, what she explained, the sixth love language is feeling known. So, some people can kind of sometimes confuse it with acts of service. But what she explained is like, for example, let's say your mom, or like I said, your significant other or a coworker goes to a store and purchases you a bulk of chocolate covered strawberries, and then they hand them to you. Um, and that's your way of feeling loved or feeling appreciated. It's going to have more meaning because this person not only went out of their way, but they sacrificed time and effort to make sure that you were happy. Another example she gave was being on an airplane. So if you're with your spouse, your mate, and let's say he or she knows that you like the window seat, but maybe they also want to sit and look out of the window as well during the plane ride. And because they know that that would, make your little heart happy, they decide to give you that seat. And as a result, once again, it makes you feel like this person really gets you. They really know you because once again, they sacrifice, their time, their effort, and for some people, even happiness, even uncomfortability, just to see, to see you laugh or to see you have a smile on your face. So, how do you all feel about, the sixth love language, or do you feel like it's sort of very similar to acts of service, and why?
Well, to me, it sounds like a hybrid of acts of service and receiving gifts. Like it's kind of like
Yeah,
you because I'm assuming that the person who's doing the gift giving like kind of knows the person that they're with, like in a way. So it's like okay, I would I would hope that the person, like, well, I guess they're giving you gifts. It's not your love language. They don't know you that well, but still, like it's just certain stuff. I think it just comes in to me in a healthy relationship. It becomes natural. So it's like
keyword
kind of
healthy.
it's
Yes,
yeah, it's
healthy.
kind of like an extension. Like you kind of like what you do what you think will make the other person happy. More so, like I guess like you said, feeling known, but that just sounds like a hybrid of a few of them to me. Like it's kind of like who I don't know. I guess because I've been in a relationship so long, but it's kind of like one of those things where if you've been with somebody for a while and you feel like you know them well enough to even go on a trip with them, I guess you could say, you
Yeah.
would think that it'd be like, oh, okay, well, this will make this person happy. It's just like I guess she would call it being feeling known. I just think it's like part of a relationship. This is part of love, like period, or caring for the person. Like you just want to see them happy. So it's like it doesn't necessarily have. I don't think it has to have a necessarily a title. It's just more so being a caring, decent spouse or individual. It's just, I mean, I just to me, but
Yeah. I definitely agree with you as well, Karie. I do think it's a fuse between acts of service and receiving gifts as well. And I hope I'm not gonna be the one that's gonna be negative in this. But the only thing when you were telling about that story, Keisha, how she was describing it, and I think this might be from a therapist standpoint. I'm just thinking about, yes, I want to do whatever I can to make my significant other, partner, spouse, whatever, happy. And, I'm all for that because I think that that is what is needed in a healthy relationship or marriage or whatever. But I think the only thing that would kind of concern me with that is making sure that it's going to be reciprocated and that my needs are also going to be met too. Because if I'm doing all I can and all for you, you know what I'm saying?
Resentment says
Yeah, resentment, yes, and then I'm losing myself in the process because I feel like all I'm doing is making sure that you're good. And that might not have been that young lady's intention when she said that, but I'm just thinking about it like that because I can kind of see how it could go left.
But if that's the case, it could go left for any of the love languages.
Yeah, but that's for some reason that in particular came to my mind.
Yeah, I didn't get that from when she spoke.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
I got what Shnequia. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just saying.
I'm sorry. Go, Shnequia.
No, I was just saying I didn't think that was her intention either. But I was just thinking, like, for me, because I see a lot of times where people put a lot of stock into relationships with other people where they lose their self in the process, and I just don't want that to happen. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes it can kind of be unhealthy because just like I'm doing everything for this person, and I'm like I said, I'm losing me. Like I'm thinking about.
I think that's the assumption that somebody would do for you as you would do for them, because I think that's a lot of what causes a lot of miscommunication is that you assume it's almost like the love language. You assume that because you're doing something for somebody that you would want them to do for you, that they automatically just know to do it. And it's like that. I think that's what you try. That's what I got from what you were saying.
Yeah, that's
Karie, that's what it goes back to what you were talking about, healthy. Because if that's the case, it can fall all love languages. Somebody could fall into that particular predicament. So if it's not a healthy relationship, you don't necessarily know yourself and or your self-worth, then yeah, it's easy for you to get caught up in feeling known. It's easy for you to get caught up in giving gifts. It's easy for you to get caught up when it comes to trying to spend time with that person and you're not necessarily getting that same type of treatment. So my thing is you probably don't need to be showing any of these type of love languages if you know that it's not a healthy relationship. Y'all are not moving forward in the same direction so that nobody gets hurt. But it goes back to the key word that Karie brought up from the get-go, effective communication. We've got to stop assuming that people know us or that people know our thought processes, that people get us. Two, just because I like red or I like vanilla ice cream one day doesn't mean 15, 20 years down the road, that's going to still be my same cup of tea. So you've got to constantly stay communicative to keep y'all relationship on the up and up. And that's one thing, Karie, thank you for sharing that. I appreciate, about you and your husband, because we don't hear a lot of that, especially in our community when it comes to, healthy relationships.
Because that's one of the things we did from the beginning. Because like we were friends first, like before we started dating, like years ago, and then we kind of fell back, like I guess, in touch with each other, and it took off from there. But we made it a point from the beginning that like we wanted to make sure that we, I guess that we both kind of did our work on ourselves before we came together. So it was one of those where we made it a point to say that we wanted to make sure if we either one of us had an issue with the other one, that we were feel comfortable enough to tell the other person, like, like a adult conversation, like instead of me just being mad at him and fuss, like not little stuff, like, but like if it's really something bothering me, to not come to him in my feelings, like emotional. And he does, like, because I did that way back when we first got together. I did that one time. I was up like late. I was all upset. I had worked myself all up, And then I texted him this long, probably 3-page text message, and then I called him before he probably even got a chance. And he was on the road, so I know he didn't read it. So then I called him, and I was just all a whole mess. And he was like, "Oh, I didn't even know we had a problem." I was like, "See," I felt stupid. So, and that was like when I was that was like years ago, but it was still like okay. And from that moment, I was like, "Okay, I don't want to feel like this again," because I felt so stupid. And like it was like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. I was just wide awake and just upset for no reason. And it was like little stuff, but I guess I had held it in so long that it boiled
Yeah.
over to something for me. But I never told him, and I never let on that something was wrong. I thought I had, but I guess I never did. So that's when we kind of made a decision that we were going to make sure like we had something that was really bothering us to talk about it. So because some people call us weird because we don't really we fuss, but we don't argue. Like we don't do the whole cussing, fussing. You get out, you can't sleep. We don't do all that because it's like, where are you getting with it? It's like that's to me, that's not a healthy relationship because at the end of the day, he's still like my friend. He's my best friend. So it's like how I would come to you, Shnequia, or any one of my other friends. If something was, if you made me uncomfortable, I would feel comfortable enough in our friendship to
Right.
come to you about it as an adult instead of me just being like, oh no, I just block you on everything and
Yeah.
just write you a cuss out, a text message or whatnot, and you over here because you don't know what you did and how I'm just assuming how I feel. So that's a lot of things where it comes with like the love language communication. It's like just letting the other know how you really feel. Like
Mm-hmm.
tell them, like don't assume they know, don't expect, don't say I've said it before. It's like no, because I think I operate on. I don't expect anybody to know what I think or how I feel unless I've told them.
That's part.
So,
Yes.
and like going back to the love languages, it's like you can talk to somebody and like you can communicate in a way, but you could be speaking Spanish and next speaks French. It's like so you speaking two different languages, so they don't.
Yeah.
They just hear you barking at them. They don't know what you're talking about. They
Yeah.
just if you depending on your delivery of it. So I think a lot of that comes into effect where it's just I like I said, well goes all back to effective communication because
Mm-hmm.
it all day and never be heard.
Yes. That
And
is
that's
definitely.
back to what you said, Shaniqua, you get resentment and you hurting yourself and you just in
Uh-huh.
a hurtful relationship and you
Yeah.
just unhappy because that's the one thing I never understood. I could to the life of me. I was like, it's a billion people on this planet, and you would want to spend the rest of your life being miserable with one. I do not understand it. I was like, I don't understand. Like, if you're unhappy, leave. If your love language isn't being fulfilled and you haven't told the person, or if you have and they don't acknowledge it, go find one of them billions of people. Just go outside your comfort zone. Find somebody else, race, gender, whatever. Go find some.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you what you're saying on that. But I think part of the problem that people have, they get comfortable and they feel like, you
Uh-huh.
know what, this is familiar for me, this person or whatever. And I know that I'm not getting my needs met here. And I know that I'm not getting treated the way I want to be treated. But
Uh-huh.
it's better for me to be in this situation that I'm familiar with because I know this and I don't necessarily want to start back over or whatever have you. And sometimes they
Uh-huh.
might feel like they can change the person, which
I've heard that plenty of times. So
yeah,
from
I'm gonna change him
I'm
for
like a
her.
little mini counselor sometimes because I just like I said
Yeah,
I just don't understand. I've heard the explanation, like I'm comfortable here, but at the same time, it's like
right.
oh, okay, well you sit there being happy on this planet that God put you on. This, it's just I just don't understand. Like you rather live your life miserable with somebody you comfortable with instead of going like out there and to find your happiness,
Mm-hmm.
whether if
Mm-hmm.
it's alone or with somebody, but just I guess that's why I say I pray for people out here in these streets daily because it's rough.
Yeah, and I think that goes back to what Lakeisha was saying too about really knowing yourself and
Yeah.
your self esteem or whatever. Because that at the end of the day, that's what it is. You know what I'm saying? A lack thereof. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Because you don't have like we all have choices basically, and you
Uh-huh.
don't have to be in this situation that is
Uh-huh.
not doing
Uh-huh.
anything for you.
I think I said
You
in
choose to be
season
unhappy.
one of something that I've learned, especially in my 30s, is that people treat you in the manner in which you allow them
Mm-hmm.
to treat you.
You teach people how to
Um,
treat you. Yep.
Exactly.
exactly, exactly. And
Uh-huh.
so if you're putting up with toxic behavior, and like you said, you've not had that conversation and told them how you feel, or maybe you all have had the conversation and they're still continuing on with the behavior, then hey, they're showing you just how much they think about you. And at that point, you got a choice. Hey, you can either leave or you can stay. But for some people also, it's fear. It's fear of the unknown. It's fear of getting back out
Yeah.
here in this dating pool, like you said, that's full of urine and sardines and sharks. But at the
And
same
boo
time,
boo
even with the
turds.
sardines and
All
sharks,
that out.
there's still some beautiful men and some beautiful women who are looking for some great relationships. You know, they're doing the work when it comes to themselves. They're working on their finances and getting themselves together physically, emotionally, and psychologically. So I would encourage him, don't let that scare you. You know, get out there, try something new. But before you try something new, you definitely need to make sure that you got yourself together before you sit up here and bring that baggage to somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's
Keyword heal. Heal. Yes.
exactly, because that's the
Yeah.
most
Heal.
uncomfortable part. Is like because with healing comes, you have to acknowledge and you have to hold yourself accountable. Like you have to hold yourself
Yeah.
accountable for whether it's past relationships or friendships, whatever it is. That what have you done to end? Like what did you contribute to them in a negative sense
Exactly.
or
Oh
whatnot?
yes.
Like yeah, you have to dissect yourself, and then like whatever you believe, whoever you believe in. Like I believe in God, so I took my time out daily, and it was just like I was trying to really see like what it is I need to work on as far as whether it's my mouth, because I know that I'm sometimes I can be quick with comebacks. It depends on the situation. So it's like that's one of the things I knew I had to work on. But I also made it a point that I said the next relationship I get in, I was like, that's going to be it for me. Like I don't want to date around anymore. Like I was ready to settle down. And then when he called me out the blue, so was he. Like we just the first conversation, one of the first conversations we had was like he was ready, like because him being on the road, being a truck driver at the time, he was ready to come home to somebody out like regularly. Like he was tired of going home to an empty apartment, and then he's not a party guy, he's not a club person or whatnot. So it's like him going to work, truck, going driving the truck and just going back to his apartment, and vice versa on the weekends. Who well, he's not gonna come across a whole lot of people, quality people. I'm assuming that dynamic. So it's just like yeah, we just linked in one day and pretty much been together ever since. But like I said, we had our growing pains, yes. But just like I said, we just decided that we wanted to have a healthy, happy relationship. Like we wanted to effectively, we made it a point that we were going to communicate with each other and have conversations that, like, even if it's just something that we see on TV or just like on Facebook or Instagram, just a topic that comes up, we're just like, just kind of a conversation about it. And so it's just like going back to the love language, just certain stuff I know doesn't matter to him. Like material things don't matter to him. So what I did I do and I've done is like for his birthday. He's never really been a big, he's never, growing up, he never really celebrated his birthday because just finances and stuff like that. So it's never been a big deal to him. So for me, I was like, okay, well, I know he's real big in football, college football, especially. He's an Auburn fan, you know, so he's a diehard. So it's ridiculous. But anywho, um,
Oh, you're not an Auburn fan?
huh? I am
You're,
by yeah, by
okay.
default.
Okay, by
Yeah,
default.
I am.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, I am by default. War Eagle. Anywho, so I bought him like I bought him like Auburn stuff, like for his birthday or whatnot. Like I bought him like, like maybe a throw blanket or some slippers or some sweatpants or something like that. Just stuff that I didn't like little stuff. And it's like he's not used to it. So I even bought him. I even got him a cake made one time with like the stadium or something like that on there that he pointed out one time. He was like, "Yeah, I want to get that picture put on his little man cave." And I was like, "Okay." So I just kept it in mind. So for his birthday, I was like, "Okay, cool." I just had a cake made or whatnot, and it was like I saw his little smile, but he was trying to, I guess be hard with. I don't know. But he was happy, but he was trying to like control it. Oh, I never had somebody do this. I was like, oh, okay, So I was like, my
He
little
gave
heart
you
was.
a half smile, quarter smile.
I didn't. Yeah, it was. He tried to hide it, but yeah, I saw teeth. So I saw teeth. He tried to hide it. He was just like he was trying to hide the little boy inside of him that was all happy he got because I got him a good little bit of stuff. He was just like, okay. It was just like that whole, I guess, he does stuff for people. Like he's one of those give you a shirt off his back type people. You know, if you need help, you help you out. And like I'm kind of the opposite. So it's like I like to see him happy because I know he does stuff for a lot of people, like family and whatnot. So it's like that, I see that. So it's like that's what I did for him. Even though I know material things don't really matter to him, I knew that would mean something to him. And like I said, that little boy smile that he showed is like okay, made my little heart happy because I was like okay, even though he just say thank you, and it's like, really, he's like, I know he's jumping up and down on the inside. If he's not, that's what I took it as when I got my little smile. But yeah, so I just like get stuff that I know he'll need, but that like I know he wants, but he'll never really buy for himself or whatnot. He'll talk about it and won't do it, and I'll just go ahead and get something like similar, to, like something close as I can to what I think he'll want. And like if he said he need a book bag like to carry, just back and forth around when he's on the road or whatnot, just going to just need to carry his toiletries and stuff in. So I know he likes the Ravens. I got him a Ravens book bag because I was like, let me split it up so I don't just get you everything the same. It's just little stuff like that that I just learn to pay attention to over the time, just observing like what
Mhm.
I think would make him happy. And so, yeah, and it's like a vice versa. Like if, like, say, it's just something. For example, something happened to me. Well, because one time I think I hurt my leg, and I couldn't really walk that well. So it was one of these. He took the dog. We got two dogs. He took the dogs out for me, walked them for me, whatnot. It wasn't an issue, In the fact that I was stuck in the house for the most part. It's like he had just got off work. He didn't mind. It wasn't like a whole big discussion. Like he was tired. He didn't feel like he just got up and did it for me, whatnot did we had to do. He washed dishes, did whatever because I couldn't do it or whatnot. It was just made it easier for me or whatever. So it's just like little stuff like that. That I think that goes a long way in some
Mhm.
relationships where it's just like you observe what you think the other person might like or want
Right.
more so than assuming what you think they want and
Right.
it just doesn't go anywhere.
Right. But I think that also comes with, like you said, I think in the beginning, Carrie, about really knowing the person
Mhm.
and like really getting to know them. Because I know like communication definitely is important, of course.
Mhm.
But like you said about the observation, like, okay, that can be the nonverbal communication. Like I'm observing, like, okay, well, I see that you are not feeling well right now, or you're not able to, do for yourself right now. So I got you. Like let me take care of that
Like
for you.
some of the best advice I got was like it said when you're dating somebody, it's like you gotta watch them, and it's like
Yeah.
after you decide that this person you want to get with, you need to watch them. After you decide you want to get engaged, you gotta watch them. And it's like because all this stuff, like it's the consistency of it all, and it's like after you marry, you gotta keep watching them because it's like even if you just want to make sure the consistency is there before even you get to the point of engagement or marriage, you want to make sure that that person is staying consistent with what they showed in the beginning because as we all know that people send their representatives out
The
a lot.
mask is good. I like to call it the mask
So
too.
people,
Yeah.
yeah, people call it a bait and switch, but I was like, I really think that the person is like you give. That's why a lot of times, if you give people enough time, like you said, the mask will fall off. You can't. They
Mm-hmm.
can't put it up for so long because you could get a whole lot of um, what is it, gifts or whatnot. But if they give you too many gifts up front, it's like you gotta watch. Like, why are they doing this? It's like what they call it now, love bombing. Is that
Mhm.
Yeah. Yep.
term? Yeah, like somebody be doing all this and really behind closed doors they about to beat you. Like you don't know, they buttering
Mm-hmm.
you up to to do something negative. So, but you all in love and they got your heart because they did a whole bunch of stuff to get you in the fields, like get your get your heart all involved. But it's like you really don't love this person; you just become attached to what they doing for you.
Yeah.
So it's like I think if that is a love language, you just got to be careful that somebody isn't learning your love language and they abuse it
Yeah.
because
Yes, that's a great
somebody
point.
can overlove somebody can overlove you to like to death literally. So it's like but it's that's another thing with the like the I think the title of the love language, like that's why I was when I first started hearing about it, I was like, okay, so some people like how they do with the astrological signs. Some people won't, they take that
Mm-hmm.
like so serious um to the extreme sometimes. But it's like I said, it's just some people will take that and just say, oh no, my love language is this, period. It's like it's no growth there if you're not like okay. it's a combination sometimes. Like
Yeah.
you can not be materialistic, but like when somebody buys you something every once in a while, it still can make you happy. Not necessarily saying you need that, but it will make it like right now. If he told me he booked a 7 day vacation or something like that, I don't need it, but will I be happy? Yes. Will I go
Yeah.
pack my bags? Yes. Will I go get my it's just little stuff like that. But like I said, it's just like necessarily what you need and versus what you want, I guess you could say. Because I think
Mhm.
everybody wants to feel love, but I guess it just goes back to a healthy love. Because
Yeah.
Yes.
I love you all day, but if it's not it could be what you want, but not what you need. And
Right.
then 10 years later, you're miserable.
Right.
Yeah.
Getting a whole lot of what you wanted. And like how Keisha said, like down the line, things change. Like you said, you could like red today, and then over the course of the years, blue turns. And it's like he's still stuck on red. And it's like, okay, he give me one more red thing. But it's
Okay.
like you don't want to hurt the feeling and say, no, I don't want this and whatnot. Like I said, you don't want to sound ungrateful, but it's still like, okay, growth comes. So
Yeah.
with growth changes, so do feelings. So
Yeah.
And we change as people, so naturally our
mm-hmm,
taste and our
mm-hmm,
interests and things that we once
mm-hmm.
liked may not necessarily be the same way, and that's going to change. We grow and evolve individually and as a relationship. So
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. You know what?
Mm-hmm.
I'm loving what I'm hearing, ladies. I feel like this was a great dialogue, and there was, as we were talking, I was just thinking about all the different things that came up for me, like effective communication. Like I know we said that a lot, and we
Mm-hmm.
also talked about understanding. That was another key thing. Like it's one thing to have the communication, but to also make unsure that you're understanding what is communicated to you, and you're being able to really get it. Like, and even asking questions sometimes if you don't understand, be
That's
like,
right.
okay,
Mm-hmm.
did I hear you say this correctly? Is this what I'm getting?
The difference between listening and
Right.
hearing somebody, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So definitely communication, definitely understanding, observing. Yes. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So many
Say
things.
the one rule, gotta watch. And keep
Right.
watching.
Right. And growth and evolving too.
Mm-hmm.
Got a lot of
Mm-hmm.
that out
But
there too.
yeah, in a healthy relationship, I think that comes naturally. So yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It
Mm-hmm.
does. Okay. Well, we do have a few more minutes, but we're gonna go ahead and kind of start wrapping up the topic. Did you any one of y'all have any last things y'all wanted to say about the topic?
Not me. I feel
I
like
think I exhausted
overall
all
we've
my
said
thoughts.
enough.
Okay, we
Yeah, I
did.
think I exhausted all my thoughts.
We did. But well, one of the ways before we do close out this episode, one way that we like to end our episode is with something called insightful moment. And this is where we take time to give something to y'all. Not that we haven't been giving y'all jewels throughout this whole episode, but we want to leave you with something that's just meaningful for you and something that you can take with you. So whether that is a song lyric, a Bible scripture, or an inspirational quote, we're giving that to you. And so, Karie, as our special guest, do you have any insightful moments that you want to share with our listeners and viewers?
I think I do. So, just over the course of the last couple of weeks, I guess a lot of people have been passing. So I think the biggest thing I've come to is love the people that are in your life. Like love on them while they're here, because once they're gone, it's too late. So give people their flowers while you can. It's like, because life is short, and you never know when that time will come for anybody. So yeah, love on people and give them their flowers while they're here. That's
Love
all I got.
it.
I
Love
like
it.
that,
Love
Carrie.
on people, give them their flowers while they're here. That was beautifully
Mm-hmm.
said and so true. That's so true.
Yep, that's all I got.
Well, thank you for sharing that, Karie.
Thank you.
Really appreciate that. We really appreciate that. So, you too can submit any insightful moments that you have. You can always DM us or email us. And please make sure as always, like and follow Insightful Conversations with SNL on Facebook and Instagram. Our username is at InsightConvoWSL. And also, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. So like we said at the beginning, please make sure that, you go ahead and like this video, share it, hit the notification button, all of that. And if you don't watch us but prefer to listen to us, we're on all major podcast platforms. So, you can follow us that way too and subscribe to us that way as well. But we got you covered, either watching us or listening. Okay? So, well, I didn't have any other thoughts. Anybody else?
All good.
Okay, good. Oh, and I forgot to mention about if you wanted to email us, our email address is insightfulconversations37@gmail.com. So you can hit us up that way too. All right, well, if there is nothing else, this will conclude our episode. We hope that you really enjoyed it and you were able to get something very meaningful out of this that you can use not only in your relationships or potential relationships, but even within your own personal lives. So with that being said, until the next time, y'all take care. Enjoy life. Give each other the flowers while they're here. And be safe out there.
Peace.
All right. Bye, y'all.
Peace.